I shall have my bow.
And my axe.
So be it. You shall be the Fellowship of the Ring.
Right. Where are we going?
The rules are simple. Only use one of every available unit or hero for combat. Every available unit is your friend. Friends have names. Any duplicate units may be used as replacement friends. In honor of your allies, keep account of every friend that falls in battle. Mercenaries, possessions, and summoned units are not friends. Workers are NPCs. Multiple NPCs are allowed. In the case of ghouls, multiple are allowed, but only one is allowed for combat. Buildings aren't units. The run will be done on normal because I haven't gotten used to spellcasters yet. This is a tale of friendship and failure, of heroes strong and heroes weak. These are their stories. We begin our journey with War Chief Thrall and his buddy Grew the Grunt. While the party lacks a healer, as long as they switch which friend takes damage, things should be good. Eventually, the party comes across a village of friendly NPCs, who give them access to some spare Grews. Unfortunately, the Alliance thinks friendship is overrated and attack. After fighting through them, they meet up with Seamus the Shaman and fight their way to their buddy Elscream. Unfortunately, towers are strong, and without healing, Gru falls in battle. Thankfully, I have spares. A total of 9 Grus and 1 Seamus fall in battle, but Hellscream is freed and the horde heads off. Meanwhile in Lordaeron, Paladins Uther and Arthas reunite. Charged with defending the nearby village of NPCs, Arthas teams up with his old pal Fred the Footman to save little Timmy and beat up bandits. Honestly, would have been better off with the bandits. After meeting with Rick the Rifleman, the gang engage in the honorable campaign of dragon hunting. While Rick takes a ton of damage with the expert tactic of magical band-aids, he brings down the mighty beasts. After beating a Blade Master, the gang meets up with Jaina. Jaina can send down blizzards and summon a water elemental. As mentioned, summoned units will not be included in the unliving count since they have timed life and will die anyway. The gang also meets up with Fred's older brother Cap the Captain, as well as Peter the Priest and the cannon-toting brothers Morris and T. Together, our intrepid explorers vanquish an abomination and pursue the mysterious cult of the damned. Unfortunately, the dastardly Kel'Thuzad has already infected the local grain supply, turning the villagers and little Timmy into zombies. Kid looks the same to me. While the party suffers heavy losses, they take old Kelly down, but not before learning of the cult's true master, Mal'Ganis. The gang heads to another village of NPCs, only to discover they've all been infected. Jaina leaves to get Uther, but fortunately, Sarah the sorceress can fill in for her. She makes people slow. Anyways, using the expert tactic of letting his friends get punched in the face, Arthas solos a caravan of infected wagons. Have I mentioned how broken it is that paladins have an invincible button? Anyways, the lines are broken, but Uther arrives just in time. Having done most of the work so far, Arthas realizes friendship is overrated and decides the world will be better off with fewer friends in it. For some reason, Uther and Jaina are opposed to the idea of destroying an entire city of innocent villagers, but Arthas has no such weaknesses. Meeting up with Carl the Knight, Arthas leads the gang to beat up Mal'Ganis and his buddies. After sending 100 citizens to early retirement, the party heads to Northrend.
My lord, are you all right?
Captain, are all my forces accounted for?
Nearly. There are only a few ships that...
Very well.
Arthas continues his descent into friendlessness by dragging the entire party into a frozen wasteland of zombies. Thankfully, he meets up with Muradin, Giovanni the gyrocopter, and Steamy the steam tank. The gang lay waste to Mal'Ganis' base, but he's nowhere to be found. Desperate to make sure his son has friends, King Tyrannus calls off the expedition to Northrend, causing Arthas to say, "To hell with the party, time to sink the fleet." Ever the bystander, Muradin goes along with it. Morris and T tag along, but these heroes alone aren't enough to reach the fleet. So Arthas does what any self-respecting rich boy would do: pay for friendship. After hiring a bunch of nameless mercs, Arthas heads off to do the do. Since the party is paying them, mercs aren't real friends, and thus their lives and deaths don't deserve to be counted. After sacrificing countless mercs alongside Morris and T, Arthas and Muradin destroy the fleet. As a reward for all their hard work, Arthas immediately blames the whole thing on the mercenaries and orders his men to butcher them.
Cast it into the fire! Destroy it!
Arthas has completely rejected the concept of friends, what with him soloing a ton of their journey and possessing a literal invincibility button. Eventually, Arthas breaks Mal'Ganis' lines and puts an end to him. Unable to thank his buddies for all their hard work, Arthas goes off to brood like any self-respecting loner. Sadly, the Burning Legion also believes in maintaining a healthy work environment. They send Arthas off to gather their old buddies, the Cult of the Damned. With his new associates George the Ghoul, Shady the Shade, and Skelly the Skeleton, Arthas heads off to make a new friend. The party heads to the cemeteries to get Kel'Thuzad's remains. With his new pal Meaty the Meatwagon, Arthas defeats the local paladins with the expert tactic of hiding behind spirit towers, while his old pal Uther has the invincible button. Using the expert tactic of running away, Uther goes down. Afterwards, Arthas and the gang join up with Neki the Necromancer, who can call in Skelly. While Skelly spawns in pairs, Arthas sends one on lunch break, so it's all good. Unfortunately, the power of the undead comes from numbers, so when one takes that away, the undead kinda suck. Using the expert tactic of hiding behind towers, Arthas slowly pushes back Sylvanas and breaches the gate. Next, the party gets stuck on some islands with birds. The good news is that Chris the Crypt Fiend is here to save the day, and as you know, spiders are the natural counter to avian threats. Unfortunately, even with Chris in the party, the enemy bases are a nightmare to take. So using the expert tactic of sieging the elves with towers, Arthas secures the 3 keys and heads to Silvermoon. For the unforgivable sin of defending her home, it's time to kill Sylvanas. For some reason, her idea of calling in reinforcements is sending one messenger unescorted along undefended roads. Thankfully, Gary the Gargoyle is always happy to make new friends. To neutralize Sylvanas, the party destroys her production structures and altar, preventing her from reinforcing her army. Arthas kills her, but decides he'd like more friends. After fortifying the 2 bridges to Silvermoon, the party clears the enemy's left flank, while the local archmage bangs his head on their towers. The Guardians fall and Arthas resurrects his new buddy, Kel'Thuzad, or as scholars say, Kel'Thuzad.
My talents are yours.
Kel'Thuzad needs to make a call to the demon boss. Unfortunately, the line's being held up by these orc thugs. They're not interested in friendship, so it's murder time. Arthas is joined by Wormy the Frostworm and Shady the Shade, using Wormy to freeze enemy towers and Kel'Thuzad's frost armor for tanking. The gang wipe out the orcs and touch base with old Archie the Archimond. The party heads to Dalaran, where old Antonidas conveniently reveals they've shielded the city with anti-zombie magic. What a good friend. Also conveniently, Antonidas' buddies are powering the shield, so the party hunts them down while also releasing dangerous wild animals into the city. Wild animals aren't friends, so they won't be counted. What will count is our good friend Abby, a tough assault unit who can tank the anti-dead spells. But friendship is overrated, so Arthas and Kel'Thuzad take out the second mage alone and clear a path to Antonidas, using the expert tactic of sacrificing the entire army to bring down one archmage. Arthas takes Dalaran. Unfortunately, the people of Dalaran are not dollar fans of demon summoning, so Arthas and the gang have to beat up more wizards. Sadly, Kel'Thuzad has to read a book, so it's up to Artie and the boys to save the day. To aid them, the Legion sends Inigo the Infernal and Fella the Fellhound to help out. Unfortunately, without numbers, the undead kinda suck, so using the forbidden magic tactic called restarting the mission, they steal more gold, keep base controlled, and Archie makes the wizards fold. Meanwhile in Kalimdor, Thrall's party makes landfall. With his buddies Drew the Grunt and Hunter the Hunter, the gang beats up some centaurs and pig people. Eventually, Thrall gets to summon his pet Wolfie. Sadly, like Skelly's twin, Wolfie's brother can't join in. Thankfully, the party meets up with Cairn Bloodulf and his Tauren boys. The gang head to Cairn's home, drop some tome, and head for Stone. Crossing through the canyons, Thrall meets up with Raynor the Raider and Kathy the Catapult, who help fight through centaur nomads and their defenses. After meeting with Cody the Kodo, Thrall reunites with Grom, who's busy beating up some puny humans. While Thrall believes in friendship, Grom's more of an Arthas main and plans to beat up the other humans. Thrall rushes to get to the lab before Grom starts another war, but the local harpies are super tough. Upon consorting with ancient tomes, the party quickly travels through time to get some healing wards again. Anyways, with his friend's aid, Thrall defeats the harpies in battle and continues to mount Hyjal. Annoyed at being denied human lunch money, Grom decides to beat up some trees. Joined by Seamus the Shaman, the party bullies the elves into giving them all their wood. Turns out destroying a forest is a good way to piss off a nature god. Cenarius is fresh off the friendship and effortlessly destroys the orc settlements. Thankfully, ancient elf magic is no match for arrows. Anyways, the orc party is joined by Wit the Witch Doctor, who finally lets the gang heal again, while he urges the gang to believe in each other like Thrall. Crom's more of an Arthas main and seeks out Manaroth's bathwater. This gives the party demon steroids, allowing them to lose to Cenarius again. Thankfully, ancient elf magic is no match for arrows. Also, turns out drinking demon blood is a good way to get enslaved by demons. Who knew? Meanwhile, Thrall's party makes it to the base of Mount Hyjal. Joined by Cairn, Terry the Tauren, and Wyatt the Wyvern, they fight through centaurs and humans to reach the Oracle's entrance. Inside Hyjal, Thrall and Cairn fight through the Ancient Dead and Alliance forces, obtaining the Heart of Ajun, and with some prodding from Medivh, ally with Jaina and the humans.
You will unite or you will fall.
With the power of friendship, the gang resolved to save Grom and the orcs from Manaroth's juices. Unfortunately, demons have friendships of their own and call down infernals to attack the friendly NPCs. Thankfully, ancient demon magic is no match for bows and arrows. While Gru and Wyatt help defend the NPCs, the rest of the party clears out each enemy outpost. Eventually, Thrall rescues Grom. Grom beats Manaroth by pulling a Boromir, saving orc kind. Meanwhile, Tyrande and Ari the Archer save some Furbolgs. With Furry the Furbolg and Furchamp the Fur Champion, the gang proceed to die to resurrection. A lot. Turns out not having any units really sucks. Fortunately, divine magic is no match for water. After a tough fight, Tyrande finally fells the Paladin, only for the Burning Legion to roll in and render the last 2 hours completely pointless. Thankfully, ancient demon magic is no match for standing still. Who knew? With Ari the Archer, Honey the Huntress, and Bailey the Ballista, Tyrande beats up the Alliance Horde and undead forces. The party needs more friends. To beat the undead, Tyrande aims to awaken the Druids. With Daisy the Dryad, she proceeds to fail. Thankfully, trees aren't units, so with an army of protectors, she pushes through orc lines and the Forest Guardians. Turns out nature magic is no match for flying rocks. Who knew? Afterwards, the party heads to the Barrows to awaken Talos the Talon Druid. To reach him, the gang needs to cross the Alliance Horde and undead armies. Sadly, the Furbolg friends have been corrupted by demons, forcing Tyrande to put them down. With the power of flying rocks and Furion, the party breaks through the Alliance base and eventually beat a Death Revenant. Turns out ancient demon magic is no match for vines. Anyways, after throwing more pebbles at the enemy, the party reaches Talos. Next on the list is Klaus the Claw Druid. To reach him, the party must fight through spider and zombie-infested caves. Along the way, the gang reunite with their Furbolg buddies. Once again, they need help with healing their shaman. Thankfully, spider venom is no match for magic water. Afterwards, they grant Tyrande a way to summon them to battle. The gang splits up, with Furion, Daisy, and Talos heading for Klaus. With the expert tactic of summoning tornadoes to fight bears, the gang toots a horn and Klaus joins the party. Meanwhile, Tyrande heads for Illidan, who... why was he in jail again? Joining the Burning Legion as a double agent, then massacring his people when they tried to stop him from making a second Well of Eternity. Ooh. Not to be outdone, Tyrande heroically massacres her people when they try to stop her from freeing a mass murderer. After a tip from Arthas, Illidan heads for Gul'dan's skull, which is surprisingly big. Anyways, joined by Klaus the Claw Druid, Illidan's party uses the tried and true tactic of running away from their problems to beat them. After claiming the skull, Illidan gets jacked up on demon steroids, allowing him to beat Tichondrius after luring him into a trap and sacrificing his entire party to do so. Arthas would be proud. It's time for the final battle. Medivh shows up and tells the kids to stop fighting and work together against the Burning Legion. Now, why he didn't set up this meeting earlier is anyone's guess. Anyways, Jaina, Thrall, Furion, and Tyrande's parties all set up camp at 3 NPC villages. Tyrande's party is joined by Chandra's Featherboon and Hippie the Hippogriff, as well as her old furry friends Furry, Fursama, Fur Tracy, Furchamp, and Fur Senpai. Also, there's mercenaries, but they don't get names because they're not real friends. Anyways, Tyrande and Jaina rain the power of friendship on the enemy, while Furion heals the party during heavy attacks. Despite their best efforts, the first NPC village is overrun and Jaina's party is forced to retreat. In the meantime, Furion sets up a line of trees and moonwells to support Thrall's village. It's also around this time that the Furbolgs and mercenaries join the fray. In between attacks, Furion also purchases some goblin landmines, because as it turns out, ancient demon magic is no match for bombs. The defenses are so successful that the party holds out to the 3-minute mark, at which point the second village is overrun and Thrall's party retreats as well. It's here that Archie himself joins the fray, tearing into the last line of defense. But using the power of friendship, the 3 parties finally bring down the Demon Lord. Just kidding, they blow him up with NPCs. So what did we learn from this story? Well, aside from the fact that friendship entails throwing dozens of companions into the meat grinder to achieve something, Reign of Chaos can indeed be beaten by using one of every unit for combat. 34 out of 34 missions are all doable 100%. Now obviously there were many early missions where static defense was needed to support the party, particularly for the Undead and Night Elf campaigns, but buildings aren't units so it's perfectly acceptable from a certain point of view. As for the kill count, in the prologue campaign we lost 9 Grus and 1 Seamus. That's 10 friends dead. In the Alliance campaign we lost 3 Freds, 2 Ricks, 5 Peters, 1 Sarah, 1 Morrison T, 0 Carls, 4 Giovannis, and 0 Griffies. That's 16 Freds dead, though keep in mind that the count stopped after Arthas got Frostmourne and abandoned friendship. In the Undead campaign we lost 42 Georges, 8 Meaties, 23 Neckies, 8 Chris's, 14 Garys, 9 Bonnies, 6 Wormies, and 1 Abby. That's 121 friends dead. In the Orc campaign we lost 27 Grus, 46 Hunters, 18 Rainers, 7 Cathys, 13 Codys, 9 Seamuses, 2 Wits, 1 Wario, 2 Terrys, and 8 Wyatts. That's 133 friends dead, though the count may be higher since Grom abandoned friendship in Hunter of Shadows. In the Night Elf campaign we lost 24 Aries, 17 Honeys, 7 Baileys, 14 Daisies, 15 Taloses, 19 Klauses, 7 Hippies, 6 Furries, 4 Fur Tracies, 4 Fur Samas, 1 Fur Senpai, and 5 Fur Champs. That's 123 friends dead. So all in all, 403 friends died during the Fellowship Challenge. This does not include duplicate friends, mercenaries, animals, summons, possessions, or friends who died after the hero abandoned friendship. Imagine how much it would be on hard. Remember, patronize. If you enjoyed my content and want to keep me motivated to make stuff, feel free to sign up or subscribe, or be rejected by Fur Senpai. Shoutouts to Time, Cladis Marino, Happy Acrid, Jen Tuong, and Michael Phillips for supporting the channel. I can't really call you friends because we don't know each other, but you're all party members in my eyes. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, share, comment, and use rocks to beat ancient magical creatures. Arthas, what do your elf eyes see? The Scourge turned northeast. They're taking the Runeblade to Ice Crown, Ner'zhul.